Welcome to the latest Motley Fool Scoreboard. I'm on Chalkful, and we've got longtime fools Keith Speights and Karl Thiel giving a 1 to 10 rating to robotic surgery juggernaut Intuitive Surgical, ticker symbol ISRG. Rate the strength of Intuitive's business first, including factors like industry and competition. 10 is invincible. A 1 is hopeless. 9's all around here, Karl.
Yeah, I don't know how I can give them anything else. This is a company that's synonymous with robotic surgery. They basically created the market. They've grown it into a multi-billion-dollar annual, revenue business, and they've held on to what's a de facto monopoly in it for decades, despite the existence of much larger competitors. They've got nobody's invincible, but they seem pretty close. They've got some problems in China right now. And competition is something that I feel like for at least 10 years, everybody's been saying it's right around the corner, and it never has really come. Well, it's sort of finally here a little bit, but nevertheless, a solid 9.
Yeah, I feel good about giving Intuitive Surgical a 9 as well. This is a company that absolutely dominates the robotic surgical systems market, has strong recurring revenue, a significant first mover advantage, and it targets a growing market. Those are great things to have.
Let's talk about management. A 10 is Warren Buffett. A 1 is Homer Simpson. Once again, 9s for both of you, Keith.
Yeah, I could almost give Intuitive's management a 10. And if we said Warren Buffett is the bar for a 10, that score would be deserved, considering Intuitive Surgical stock has nearly tripled over the last 5 years, while Buffett's own Berkshire shares are up around 111% or so right now. So they've outperformed Buffett. So you can nearly go with a 10. I'm going with a 9, though, because Intuitive CEO Gary Guthart hasn't led the company nearly as long as Buffett has, but as long as Buffett has for Berkshire. But still, Guthart was one of the first wave of employees for Intuitive. He's been CEO since 2010. During the period in which he's run the company, the stock has risen by over 17x. So that's definitely Buffett-esque.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Again, I don't know how I can give them anything other than a really high score. They've only had 2 CEOs, was Lonnie Smith before him, and then Gary Guthart came on in 2010. He's arguably had the harder job because, he's had to take an already established company and keep growing it at a really high rate, expand geographies around the world, expand product lines. And, to the extent that Intuitive has had difficulties in its existence, they had some controversies around gynecologic procedures and around some safety issues and stuff all back kind of in the 2013 area. They did a great job dealing with that. Most people have probably largely forgotten those things now. So, yeah, definitely a 9.
Right. Financials, a 10 is a fortress. A 1 is yikes. Keith's going with a 10. He was close on management. Karl, you're at a 9.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to criticize the balance sheet. They're moving from, capital purchases towards leases increasingly, especially as they launch a new robotic system out there, the Da Vinci 5. And they always have reliably strong procedure growth on top of that. So there's just more and more of the revenue is becoming recurring.
Yeah, I'm going with a 10 here. Intuitive's revenue continues to grow by double-digit percentages every year. Still, after all these years in business, a whopping 84% of that revenue is recurring, which is outstanding. The company is highly profitable, has a huge cash stockpile, around $8.8 billion at the end of the last quarter. Very low debt. I just can't find anything to dislike about Intuitive's financials.
All right. Well, let's move on to valuation. Let's see, Keith, how you think the stock will do over the next 5 years and how safe it is. 10's a sure thing, 1's a lottery ticket.
Yeah, this is the one area where Karl and I think, are on different pages. I think Intuitive Surgical could continue growing its revenue and earnings by double digits. And if it does that, the stock could probably grow by 10% to 15% on average each year. The big knock against Intuitive, though, is its valuation. The shares trade at 75 times forward earnings. However, a high earnings multiple isn't unusual for this stock at all, but it does weigh on the safety score. So I'm giving a score of 6 for safety just because of that valuation risk.
Yeah, and we did Pfizer before this, and I kind of gave them a low score, and yet ended up saying I really thought it was kind of an attractive buy here. I'm kind of almost the opposite on Intuitive. I mean, there's no way to not give this company great scores, and yet I'm a little cautious about it as an investment here. I gave them 0 to 5%. I fully acknowledge it could be higher than that. I actually do think that they'll continue to grow revenue, quite possibly at a double-digit pace. The problem is I just can't, even its high multiple understates how expensive it is on a free cash flow basis. I can't come up with a reasonable growth trajectory that kind of justifies the current price. And I want to hasten to say that doesn't mean the stock's going down anytime soon. I mean, if they continue to execute the way they always seem to, there's really no reason why the stock's going to go down and indeed probably, drift somewhat higher as they continue to see growth from just procedures. So, I'm guessing that they do go up from here. Just any minor misstep could lead to a big correction for them. But I won't go against Keith. Obviously, they've been a great performer, and there's no signs that they're not going to continue to be. So I did give them actually a slightly higher safety score, though, just because they've got a new product in the Da Vinci 5, and the Ion platform is doing fantastically. And there's some new applications there, possibly in heart. And then they've kind of hinted at some new platform that's years away, and nobody knows what that is, but that's kind of exciting.
Yeah, for those of us who talked about Intuitive for years now, it's kind of shocking when you look at the market cap. It's over $200 billion. We recently talked about Pfizer, which we think about as one of the big healthcare companies, and Intuitive Surgical's market cap's bigger than Pfizer. So there is that always that fear of, after you've been so successful, can it keep growing? Can it be an Apple type of thing?
Anand, I will throw one thing out. Intuitive has about 7 million procedures annually that it already has products and clearances for, and I think they're doing between 2 and 3 million procedures currently. But there are 21 million or so procedures that it could target with additional products and clearances. So this company has a huge potential market, so it could still grow quite a bit.
Beautiful. That's the perspective we also need to keep. Let's talk about Toppet. Keith, is there a company, Intuitive Speights, that you like more?
Not really. Although others have jumped into the robotic surgical systems market, I think Intuitive Surgical stands above the pack. I mean, head and shoulders. If we expanded to MedTech as a whole, I think there are some other smaller stocks that could potentially grow faster. But in terms of robotic surgical systems, Intuitive is the best to me.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going to stick to robotic surgical systems, I don't know how you pick anyone else. And honestly, so I'm going to give you a hot take. I'm going to pick InMode as just being more attractively valued here. That's in the device space. It's in the aesthetics market. Much riskier and not nearly the quality of Intuitive Surgical. I certainly wouldn't want to suggest that, but possibly a better returns here going forward.
Thank you to both Karl and to Keith. They give an Intuitive Surgical an overall score of 7.9 out of 10, which is close to the 8.2 it got last time. Short of that 8.0, but I've owned it since 2005, so there was no need to get an 8 last time or this time to make me buy it. I'm not going anywhere. Look out for a new Scoreboard every market day at 7 p.m. Eastern. Next up is Chevron. Till then, full on.